tonight, a CBS11 News investigation has discovered that top executives at DFW Airport are spending hundreds of thousands of your dollars to fly first class around the world, stay at some of the fanciest hotels, and dine on fine food. Bennett Cunningham joining us live now from DFW with results from his 3-month-long investigation, the exclusive that's involving your money. Bennett?
It's no secret we're going through some tough economic times here in North Texas. So imagine our surprise when we found some executives here at DFW Airport, including the CEO, the highest paid airport CEO in all of the United States, spending your money and lavishly traveling around the world. If you drive, park, or fly from DFW or pay federal income taxes, in the end, your money pays to run DFW International Airport. So when Jeff Fagan, the CEO of the airport, recently said,
basically, we're looking at ways to save money here at DFW Airport. We continue to look for ways to operate the airport more efficiently.
We were puzzled. Only now the airport wants to tighten its financial belt after letting it out a few notches. Since 2007, we found some executives and board members living the lives of star athletes and celebrities. And for months, we've been looking at those expense reports, and we know how much they spent, where they spent it, and even how many times they went to the hotel minibar.
You're looking at an organization that's working very hard to try to save money.
Really? Well, when Fagan flies, it's usually first class. According to his expense reports, he flies to Austin first class, costing you $800. A typical coach ticket, about $100. New York City, first class, $1,500. A typical coach ticket, about $250. I don't know any other quasi-public agency or state agency, for that matter, that allows first or business class travel, period. Why should you be any different?
Well, I think the folks who travel the most, that's their business. I mean, they are in the air service development business. And we are asking them to be away from home, to really put their bodies and their minds at significant discomfort.
Fagan flies first and business class to Asia, Europe, South America, and the Middle East, where each ticket costs up to $13,000. Records show Fagan took about 21 trips in 18 months. Airfare alone, the price tag, $97,000. So why does he need to sit up front? Because he's tall.
It is impossible for people our size to sit and coach and sleep. I'll have to argue with that.
So you're saying it's a medical reason? Or it's a physical reason why you need to fly in the front of the plane versus the back of the plane?
There's certainly a physical space reason.
When he arrives, he stays in 5-star luxury hotels, like this one in London. You paid $4,000 for his 3-night stay, averaging about $1,300 a night. His room was on its own private floor, one of the largest suites in the hotel. His defense?
That was probably the only room that was available at the time.
And one of those nights you paid for? He wasn't in his suite. He was 35,000 feet over the Atlantic in his first-class seat, making you pay for his empty room so he could check in early when he landed.
It's either laugh or vomit.
Michael Q. Sullivan is president of Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, a consumer watchdog group.
If this were a for-profit company, shareholders would be calling for their heads.
Fagan's executive staff also gets the 5-star treatment. Joe Lopano, the executive VP of marketing, spent $147,000 of your money traveling around the world in first or business class. In those 18 months, records show only one of Lopano's 24 trips resulted in new international passenger service to DFW Airport. Fagan points out landing just one new international flight makes all this spending worth it because
the economic impact of that one flight was $180 million. So I do think that you'll find a number of other airports who will allow for business and first-class travel.
Not all airports. Miami, Denver, and Los Angeles all require executives to choose economy class or the most reasonable fare. Although DFW Airport says there are many that allow first-class travel. Still, travelers and business people we talked to were outraged.
Those guys should all lose their jobs.
That seems a little excessive.
Even local business travelers are cutting back.
We're generally in the back of the plane.
because in our world, you're not going to spend the money to be in the front of the plane.
But the royal treatment in the air is nothing compared to the star treatment DFW executives give themselves once they land. In this email, one executive stated he had to stay at the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco because there was no other hotel available close to the meetings.
No room in the inn, had to stay in the horrible Ritz-Carlton. Funny how that happened. The Motel 6 was all booked, I guess, that night.
On almost every trip, it's the same pattern. At a conference in Stockholm, you paid $250 for executives to play golf, $9 beers at the hotel minibar every night, and dinner at a pricey Swedish restaurant. We translated the receipt into English and discovered they ate mushroom soup at $15 a cup, $175 worth of the finest Italian wine, and $45 a plate for halibut. In London, for a meeting with British Airways, Vice President of Public Affairs Ken Capps completed his $10,000 flight in the front of the plane, and hours later went to the drugstore where he billed you nearly $70 for lotions, packs of chewing gum, Red Bulls, and an electric razor.
I think Mr. Fagan should, at a bare minimum, write a really hefty check to DFW and reimburse them for this extravagant travel.
But Fagan doesn't see a problem. He points out the travel policy allows executives to fly first and business class. But that same policy says if the flight is 5 hours or less, staff shall fly coach unless Fagan approves it. Our investigation found more than a dozen first-class trips under 5 hours, including a trip Fagan took to Austin.
Why did you sign off on these tickets?
You'd have to show me the tickets.
We pulled out the receipt.
Typically, I would not fly first class between here and Austin. It may have been a question of availability, but I can't recall.
SMU ethics professor Robin Lovin is concerned about DFW's travel policy.
It's really not responsible to have a set of travel policies that are so out of line with good practice in business and in other public agencies.
So for all this travel, what do we get? Well, we didn't get Emirates and Singapore Airlines, which opted to fly into Houston. We did get KLM, which recently started daily service to Amsterdam, but has already cut back its schedule. And despite the hard economic times DFW Airport feels when it comes to the way they spend your money,
I think we have acted very prudently over the years.
So who is in charge of watching out for your money here at DFW Airport? Well, there is a board of directors, and tomorrow night at 10, you will hear from her and what she has to say. Also, you'll also hear how one well-known board member enjoyed a lavish trip overseas with his bodyguard in tow. That's tomorrow night. I'm Bennett Cunningham, CBS 11 News.
A lot of information here. We have posted all the receipts from Bennett's story on our website. You can view them at your leisure at CBS11TV.com. You can also call or email Jeff Fegan to share your thoughts through a link we've provided. Just click on Investigators.